Let's bring in Democratic strategist Kevin Chavous from Washington, D.C. He's a managing partner of the Chavous Group and a former president of D.C. Young Democrats, and also Nan Hayworth, the former Republican congresswoman, now with the Independent Women's Forum. And Nan, I'll start with you because I know you're a friend with Kellyanne Conway. Just briefly on this issue, your reaction.
You know, I know Kellyanne well, and she is a great patriotic American, and I know that her job implicitly requires, if you will, demands that she make comments that can indeed be construed as not exactly favoring the president's political opponents. But has she violated the law in that regard? I think that would be taking it probably a step too far.
Speaking of the president's political opponents and dirt on them, let's talk about this ABC interview. What did you think about that? Did Democrats interpret his words in a extreme way? Does he not know right from wrong, like Pelosi says?
The president taking information from foreign governments? He said he wants to. He would do it.
Derek, it's like walking through the looking glass when we listen to Speaker Pelosi and her colleagues assail the president for, quite honestly, being open, being very transparent with George Stephanopoulos in a wide-ranging interview. The example that the president specifically cited was, well, if Norway called me, well, Norway happens to be an ally. Now, you can argue whether or not I think the president would be in touch with the FBI, but you know who was in touch with the FBI? The Clinton campaign, the DNC, and the Obama-era DOJ, when they actually created a false, full of disinformation dossier with foreign operatives. I mean, nothing could be more vile than that, and the DOJ and FBI turned that against an active and legitimate political campaign. That is the real problem.
Well, Kevin, let's bring you in here from Washington. I mean, I think there's a lot of shock over the president's comments that he would take information from foreign government sources. Yes, information's a good thing, but getting it directly from foreign governments raises all kinds of questions, right? National security, what the president may or may not be giving up in return. How about it?
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's so funny to hear people, they always want to go back to the Clinton campaign and what she's done. Well, she lost the election. She's not in office right now. It's a problem that we have a president who is openly saying that he will accept foreign interference into our election if it will benefit him. And the entire interview was full of contradictory statements. I mean, there have been recent polls that says that Joe Biden's beating him in Texas. So he mentioned that and said, well, I don't believe those polls, they're fake news or they're not accurate. But then he talks about how he had a meeting with his own pollster. So clearly he values polls. It's just not the polls that go against him. So it's just very troubling. I think he's doubling down because he's a little bit concerned with some of the momentum that Vice President Biden has developed, and a lot of the polls show him trailing. But for him to say that he would accept a foreign government's help and to act like calling the FBI is some ludicrous step, I think it's very troubling, and that's why so many Republicans, even his strongest allies, have spoken out against it. It's just not right.
Kevin, respectfully, the president did not say it would be interference. He would not accept interference. He did say, as frankly any business person would, and Scott Adams has made this case well, that's his background. And if someone says, I'd like to talk with you, he'll say, okay, tell me what you have to say. He said he would definitely get in touch with the FBI if he were worried.
10 seconds to respond.
Yeah. But he's the president now. He's not a businessman anymore. I mean, he is the president. So it's troubling that he's still conducting business in the same way. It is interference. The election is supposed to be determined by Americans, not foreign governments with their own motives.
We have to leave this discussion there. Kevin Chavous, Nan Hayworth, thank you very much.